Commander Jake Morrison stared at his coffee cup as it floated in the zero gravity of the UES Horizon's command deck. The ship had been drifting in deep space for 3 months now, far beyond the normal patrol routes that human vessels usually traveled. His mission was simple but boring: listen to alien radio signals and report. Anything unusual back to Earth Defense Command. Amy Carter sat at the communications station, her headset covering both ears as she monitored dozens of frequencies at once. She had been doing this job for 2 years and knew the normal patterns of galactic communication better than anyone else on the ship. When something strange appeared on her screens, she noticed it immediately. "Commander, I'm getting something weird on the subspace bands," Amy said, pulling off her headset and turning to face Jake. "There's a signal coming from the Vega system, but it's using encryption patterns I've never seen before." Jake pushed himself over to her station and looked at the data flowing across her monitors. The signal was definitely artificial, not some natural space phenomenon. More importantly, it carried the distinctive quantum markers that only the most advanced alien civilizations used for their most secret communications. "Can you decode any of it?" Jake asked, settling into the chair next to Amy's workstation. "I'm trying, but whoever sent this really didn't want anyone else reading it," Amy replied, her fingers moving quickly across the holographic controls. "The encryption is military grade, maybe even better than that. But there's something strange about how they're routing the signal." Jake watched as Amy traced the signal's path through space. Instead of taking the direct route from Vega to its destination, the transmission was bouncing between relay stations in a complex pattern that seemed designed to hide where it came from and where it was going. "They're using communication channels that was supposed to be shut down years ago," Amy continued, highlighting several relay points on her star map. "According to our records, these stations haven't been active since before humans joined the galactic community." This got Jake's attention immediately. In the 15 years since first contact with the Altarian Trade Federation, humans had learned a lot about how galactic politics worked. The various alien species were always talking to each other through official channels, making trade deals and settling disputes through established diplomatic procedures. When someone went to this much trouble to hide a conversation, it usually meant they were planning something they didn't want others to know about. "Keep working on the decryption," Jake ordered. "I'm calling Dr. Hayes up here." Dr. Lisa Hayes was the ship's expert on alien languages and cultures. She had spent most of her adult life studying how different species communicated, not just their words, but the subtle ways they expressed ideas that humans might miss. If anyone could make sense of a partly decoded alien transmission, it would be her. Lisa arrived on the command deck within minutes, still wearing the lab coat she used when working with alien artifacts. She looked tired but alert as Jake explained what Amy had discovered. "Show me what you've got," Lisa said, pulling up a chair next to Amy's station. For the next several hours, the 3 humans worked together to pull meaning from the fragments of the alien transmission. Amy handled the technical side, breaking through layers of encryption and signal processing. Lisa focused on the linguistic elements, identifying which alien species were involved in the conversation and what they might be talking about. Jake coordinated their efforts and tried to understand the bigger picture of what they were uncovering. As the night shift began, they started to piece together some disturbing information. The transmission contained coordinates for a location in neutral space, along with what appeared to be confirmation messages from multiple alien species. More troubling were the repeated references to something called the human problem, and discussions of containment protocols. "I've identified at least 12 different species in this communication," Lisa reported as she analyzed the linguistic patterns. "Some of them are languages I've never encountered before, which suggests they belong to species that humans haven't made contact with yet." "That's impossible," Jake said. "We've met representatives from every major civilization in this part of the galaxy." "Not every civilization," Lisa corrected him. "We've met the ones that wanted to meet us. But there are older species, more powerful ones, that have kept their distance from humanity since first contact. If they're involved in this communication, it means something big is happening." Amy had been quietly working on the technical data, while Jake and Lisa discussed the linguistic implications. Now she looked up with a worried expression on her face. "Commander, I've been analyzing the routing patterns and timestamps," she said. "This isn't just one conversation. It's a series of messages sent over the past month, all coordinating some kind of meeting. And based on the response times and signal strengths, I think that meeting is happening soon." Jake felt a cold sensation in his stomach that had nothing to do with the ship's environmental systems. "How soon?" "Maybe a week, possibly less," Amy replied. "And sir, there's something else. I've been cross-referencing the species identifiers with our diplomatic database. Every single one of the aliens involved in this communication has official representation on the Galactic Council. The Galactic Council was the closest thing to a galactic government that existed. It was supposed to handle disputes between species and coordinate responses to major threats. Humanity had been trying to gain full membership for years, but had only been granted observer status on a few minor committees. "So the Council is planning a secret meeting," Jake said slowly. "A meeting they've gone to extraordinary lengths to keep hidden, and they're discussing humanity as a problem that needs to be contained." Lisa nodded grimly. "That's exactly what it looks like. And if I'm reading these linguistic patterns correctly, this isn't just a discussion. They're planning to take action." Jake made his decision quickly. "Amy, package everything we've found and prepare it for immediate transmission to Earth Defense Command. Use our highest priority channels and make sure it gets to General Wells personally." "What about our mission here?" Amy asked. "Our mission just changed," Jake replied. "We need to find out where this meeting is taking place and what exactly they're planning to do about the human problem." Captain Ryan Brooks received Jake Morrison's urgent message while he was having breakfast in the officers' mess aboard the UES Liberty. The flagship of the human fleet was stationed at the edge of Council space, officially there to protect human trade routes, but actually serving as humanity's main intelligence. Gathering post in alien territory, Ryan read through the decoded transmission fragments 3 times before he fully understood what he was looking at. The implications were staggering. For the first time since joining the galactic community, humanity was being deliberately excluded from a major political decision that directly concerned their future. Within an hour, every human intelligence asset in Council space had received new orders. Diplomatic attached Kevin Smith, stationed at the Altarian Embassy on Proxima Station, was told to use all his contacts to confirm unusual military movements. Deep cover operative Nicole Johnson, who had spent 2 years working as a translator for the Centauran delegation, received instructions to monitor any changes in her usual assignments. Kevin's report came back first. "Something is definitely happening," he transmitted on a secure channel. "My usual contacts in the Altarian military have suddenly become very busy with classified projects. Ship movements that should be routine are now being handled through secure channels." Nicole's information was even more concerning. "All my translation assignments for the next 2 weeks have been canceled," she reported. "The official reason is budgetary constraints, but I've never seen the Centaurans worry about money before. They're definitely preparing for something they don't want translators to overhear." Meanwhile, intelligence analyst Tony Garcia was working around the clock at Earth Defense Command, trying to piece together the bigger picture from scattered reports coming in from across human space. His breakthrough came when he started tracking supply shipments to seemingly random locations in neutral territory. "General Wells, you need to see this," Tony said during an emergency briefing at the Pentagon. He projected a holographic star map showing shipping routes across a section of the galaxy. Over the past month, 17 different alien species have been sending military supplies to the Kepler 442 system. General Patricia Wells studied the map carefully. Kepler 442 was officially listed as a scientific research station jointly operated by several minor alien civilizations. It was far from any major trade routes and had never been considered strategically important. "What kind of supplies?" she asked. "Defense satellites, energy generators, communication arrays," Tony replied, highlighting different types of cargo on his display. "The energy signatures we're detecting aren't consistent with research equipment, These are military-grade installations. Agent. Johnson managed to get closer to the truth through her position with the Centaurans. During a routine diplomatic reception, she overheard a conversation between Counselor Vex High of the Draconian Empire and High Admiral Zorthek of the Militant Union. The two aliens were speaking in a dialect that they probably thought no human could understand, but Nicole had been studying Draconian military terminology for months. The expansion must be stopped before it becomes unstoppable, Vex High was saying. Their technological advancement rate is unprecedented. Agreed, Zorthek replied. In 15 standard years, they have gone from a single planet to controlling 12 star systems. Our projections show they will dominate this entire sector within 50 years if current trends continue. Nicole transmitted this conversation immediately to Earth Defense Command, where Dr. Amanda Foster was leading a team of analysts trying to understand the aliens' motivations. They're not just worried about our military capabilities, Amanda explained to the Joint Chiefs during another emergency meeting. They're terrified of our adaptability. Every other species in the galaxy has remained essentially unchanged for centuries. Their technology, their society, their way of thinking, it's all static. But humans keep evolving, keep improving, keep expanding into new areas. The final piece of the puzzle came from an unexpected source. Lieutenant Colonel Steve Martinez was commanding a routine patrol near the vegan border when his sensors detected something that shouldn't have been there. A massive fleet of alien ships was moving through space using some kind of advanced stealth technology. Control, I'm reading at least 40 vessels of unknown configuration, Steve reported to his command ship. They're using sensor jammers, but our new detection systems are picking up their gravitational signatures. The ships weren't just meeting for a discussion. They were positioning themselves for action, forming the kind of formation that military strategists used when preparing for a coordinated strike against multiple targets. Back on Earth, President Helen Davis called an emergency session of the Human Defense Council. The evidence was overwhelming. The Galactic Council was planning some form of action against humanity, and they had gone to extraordinary lengths to keep it secret. How did we miss this? Davis asked General Wells as they reviewed the intelligence reports in the secure briefing room beneath the White House. They've been planning this for months, maybe longer, Wells replied. Every species involved has been careful to maintain normal diplomatic relations with us while secretly coordinating this operation. It's the most sophisticated deception we've ever encountered. Dr. Foster had been analyzing the political implications of what they had discovered. Madam President, based on the species involved and the resources they're committing, this isn't just about containing human expansion. They see us as an existential threat to the established galactic order, are we? Davis asked. From their perspective, absolutely, Foster replied. Every other major civilization reached a point of technological and social stability centuries ago. They've built a galactic community based on predictable, manageable relationships between species that don't change much over time. But humans are different. We keep growing, keep innovating, keep challenging assumptions about how things should work. The president studied the star charts showing the alien fleet movements. What are our options? We have two basic choices, General Wells said. We can wait for them to make their move and respond defensively. Or we can take the initiative and demonstrate why they should have included us in their planning from the beginning. Director Julia Parker of Human Intelligence Services had been quietly listening to the discussion. Now she spoke up with a suggestion that would change everything. There's a third option, she said. If we can infiltrate their meeting, we gain not just information but proof of their intentions. More importantly, we send a message that humanity cannot be easily contained or controlled. The room fell silent as everyone considered the implications of what Julia was proposing. Infiltrating a secret meeting of the galaxy's most powerful species would be incredibly dangerous, but it might be the only way to prevent a conflict that could destroy everything humans had built in space. What would you need? President Davis asked. Our best people, our most advanced technology, and a lot of luck, Julia replied. But if we can pull this off, we won't just survive whatever they're planning. We'll prove that underestimating humanity is the biggest mistake the Galactic Council has ever made. The plan that emerged from the emergency meetings in Washington was ambitious beyond anything humanity had ever attempted. Director Julia Parker stood before a room full of the best military and intelligence minds on Earth, explaining how they intended to infiltrate the most secure gathering in galactic history. The alien meeting is taking place on Kepler 442b in 6 days, Julia said, projecting a holographic image of the planet. Our intelligence suggests they've turned the entire northern continent into a fortress with defensive systems from dozens of different species all working together. Getting past their security will require technology they don't know we have. Engineer Marcus Williams had been working on that technology for 3 years, ever since humanity first realized they might need to spy on their alien allies. His team had taken captured alien equipment from various encounters and reverse-engineered it into something completely new. We call it the Shadow Drive, Marcus explained, showing a detailed schematic of the modifications being installed on the reconnaissance ship UES Shadow. It doesn't just make us invisible to their sensors, it makes us appear as background radiation indistinguishable from the natural energy patterns of space itself. Dr. Carolyn Mitchell, head of the reverse engineering project, had spent countless hours studying alien technology to make the Shadow Drive possible. The key breakthrough came from understanding how different species perceive reality, she said. Each alien race has developed sensors based on their own biological limitations. By combining techniques from multiple species, we've created a stealth system that exploits the blind spots in all of their detection methods. Captain Elena Rodriguez would lead the infiltration team personally. She had handpicked each member based on their unique skills and their ability to think like humans while operating in an alien environment. Her team included Sergeant Alex Turner, whose expertise with alien security systems had saved human lives on a dozen different worlds, and communications specialist Diana Gray, who could speak and think in 12 different alien languages. The mission is simple in concept but incredibly difficult in execution, Elena explained to her team during their final briefing. We get onto that planet, record everything the aliens are planning, and get out without being detected. If we're discovered, Earth will disavow all knowledge of our mission and we'll be on our own. The most crucial technology came from Dr. Benjamin Cooper, whose research into quantum field manipulation had been classified above top secret for the past 3 years. His breakthrough allowed human ships to exist in a state of quantum superposition, technically present in normal space but undetectable by conventional means. The theory is complex, but the practical application is straightforward, Ben explained as he showed Elena's team how to operate the quantum field generators. As long as these devices are running, you'll be invisible to every form of detection the aliens have. But if the field collapses for even a second, every sensor on that planet will know exactly where you are. Meanwhile, Admiral Chris Evans was coordinating the military side of the operation. The human fleet couldn't directly support the infiltration mission without revealing that humanity knew about the alien meeting, but they needed to be ready to act if things went wrong. We're positioning ships throughout this sector, Evans explained to his senior commanders. Officially, they're on routine patrols. Unofficially, they're ready to extract our people or defend Earth if this operation triggers a larger conflict. The UES Shadow launched from a secret facility in the asteroid belt, its departure hidden from alien observers by the same quantum technology that would allow it to approach Kepler 442b undetected. The ship itself was a masterpiece of human engineering, combining the best features of alien technology with uniquely human innovations. As the Shadow traveled through hyperspace toward its destination, Elena's team reviewed everything they knew about the alien species they would encounter. Each species had different security protocols, different ways of organizing meetings, different cultural expectations about privacy and secrecy. The Draconians will be the most paranoid, Diana explained during one of their planning sessions. They assume everyone is trying to spy on them, so their security will be focused on preventing infiltration. The Centaurans are more trusting, but more observant. They'll notice if something seems out of place. Alex had studied the architectural plans of the meeting facility, transmitted to Earth by long-range sensors months before anyone realized its true purpose. The building has 7 different security systems operating simultaneously, he said. Each one was designed by a different species, and they're all integrated in ways that should make infiltration impossible. Should make it impossible for any known species, Elena corrected him, but they've never dealt with humans before. Our approach to problem-solving is completely different from theirs. Where they see obstacles, we see puzzles to be solved. Dr. Cooper had discovered something else during his research into alien technology. The various species had been sharing defensive techniques for centuries, but they had also become predictable in their methods. Each civilization had developed a preferred way of handling security, and they rarely deviated from established patterns. They're thinking like engineers, Ben explained. Every security system is designed to counter specific known threats. But humans don't think like engineers when we're trying to get past security. We think like artists, like gamblers, like children playing games. We approach problems from angles they've never considered. The Shadow's approach to Kepler 442b was timed to coincide with a natural cosmic phenomenon that Dr. Cooper's team had predicted months in advance. A solar storm from the system's primary star would create electromagnetic interference that would mask any residual energy signatures from their quantum field generators. Even if their sensors detect something unusual, they'll assume it's related to the storm, Elena said as they watched the planet grow larger on their view screen. We'll have a window of approximately 6 hours to get in, gather intelligence, and get out before the storm passes. The planet's surface was covered with alien structures, but the meeting facility stood out clearly from orbit. It was a massive complex at the North Pole, surrounded by defensive installations that represented the combined military technology of the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. "Look at that," Alex whispered as they studied the facility through their enhanced sensors. "They're not just worried about external threats. Those defensive systems are designed to contain something inside the facility as much as they are to keep threats out." Diana had been monitoring alien communications since they entered the system. "I'm picking up transmissions in languages I've never heard before," she reported. "Some of these species aren't just unknown to humanity. They're so secretive that even the other council members rarely interact with them." As the Shadow settled into orbit around Kepler 442b, Elena made final preparations for the most dangerous mission in human history. They were about to infiltrate a gathering of the galaxy's most powerful beings, species so advanced that they considered humanity to be a problem requiring a solution. "Remember," Elena told her team as they prepared to descend to the planet's surface, "we're not just gathering intelligence. We're proving that humanity deserves a place at the table where decisions about our future are made. Whatever we discover down there, we make sure the galaxy knows that humans cannot be contained, controlled, or ignored." The surface of Kepler 442b was unlike anything Elena Rodriguez and her team had ever seen. The alien meeting facility sprawled across the frozen landscape like a metallic city, its towers and domes representing architectural styles from dozens of different civilizations. Energy barriers shimmered in the thin atmosphere, creating a defensive perimeter that should have been impossible to breach. Elena checked her quantum field generator one final time as their transport pod descended through the planet's atmosphere. The device was working perfectly, keeping them invisible to the sophisticated sensor networks that covered every inch of the facility. Behind her, Alex Turner monitored the alien security systems while Diana Gray listened to the constant stream of communications flowing between the various species gathering for the secret meeting. "I count defensive installations from at least 15 different civilizations," Alex reported quietly. "They've created overlapping fields of coverage using incompatible technologies. It's actually brilliant. No single species would know how to defeat all these systems working together." "That's what they're counting on," Elena replied. but they designed these defenses to stop known threats. They've never had to deal with human creativity before. The transport pod touched down in a maintenance area that Alex had identified as the weakest point in the facility's security network. The alien architects had focused their defensive efforts on the main entrances and meeting halls, leaving the utilitarian sections of the complex relatively unguarded. Diana was already decoding the local communication protocols as they made their way through service corridors filled with alien machinery. "The meeting started 3 hours ago," she whispered. "I'm picking up fragments of the discussion, and it's worse than we thought. They're not just talking about containing humanity, they're debating different methods of achieving that goal." The team moved deeper into the facility, following Alex's careful navigation through security. Blind spots that existed because the alien designers had never imagined someone would approach their defenses from so many different angles simultaneously. Each species had created perfect security against their own methods of infiltration, but they hadn't considered how a completely different form of intelligence might think about the problem. "They're discussing economic sanctions first," Diana reported as she continued monitoring the alien conversations. "Some species want to cut off all trade with human worlds, force us back to our own solar system through financial pressure." Elena felt her anger building but kept it under control. The aliens were talking about destroying human civilization through economic warfare, treating billions of human lives as pieces in some cosmic chess game. They reached a ventilation shaft that led directly into the main meeting chamber. Alex had identified this route during their planning phase, noting that the alien architects had made the same mistake that builders throughout the galaxy always made. They forgot that someone might use the infrastructure itself as a way to bypass their security. "The ventilation systems were designed by the Altarians," Alex explained as he opened an access panel. "They're meticulous engineers, but they think in straight lines. They never considered that someone might approach from above and below simultaneously. The shaft was barely large enough for humans to crawl through, but it provided perfect access to the chamber where the galaxy's most powerful beings were deciding humanity's fate." Elena led the way, her recording equipment capturing everything. As they moved closer to the heart of the alien conspiracy, the main meeting chamber was enormous, with seating arranged in concentric circles around a central holographic display. Elena counted representatives from 23 different species, including several that she had never seen before. These were the true rulers of the galaxy, being so powerful that most other species only knew them through legends and rumors. "The economic approach is too slow," a voice was saying in the clicking language of the insectoid collective. Diana's translation software identified the speaker as Hive Queen ZX Thara, one of the most influential beings in galactic politics. "Agreed," replied a massive creature that looked like a living mountain of crystalline rock. "Human expansion accelerates faster than economic pressure can contain it. We need more direct methods." Elena activated her recording equipment as the aliens continued their discussion. Every word they spoke was being transmitted back to the shadow in orbit, where it would be relayed to Earth through quantum communication channels that the aliens couldn't detect or intercept. "The military option remains problematic," said Counselor Vexhai of the Draconian Empire. "Our intelligence reports suggest that humans would likely emerge victorious in a direct military confrontation, despite being vastly outnumbered." This admission sent a shock through Elena's team. The aliens were admitting that they were afraid of human military capabilities, even though humanity had been part of the galactic community for only 15 years. "Then we proceed with the installation of advisory governments," declared High Admiral Zorthek of the Militant Union. "We establish permanent alien oversight on human worlds, ostensibly to help them integrate better into galactic society." Diana's eyes widened as she translated this statement. The aliens weren't just planning economic sanctions or military action. They were planning to occupy human worlds and install puppet governments under alien control. "The humans will resist such interference," warned another alien whose species Elena didn't recognize. "Their psychological profiles indicate they would rather fight a hopeless war than accept foreign control." Let them resist, Zorthek replied. Resistance will justify whatever measures we deem necessary to maintain galactic stability, Elena had heard enough. The aliens were planning to occupy human worlds and were prepared to use any level of force necessary to accomplish their goals. This wasn't just about containing human expansion. It was about destroying human independence entirely. As the team prepared to extract from the facility with their intelligence, Diana intercepted a priority communication that made everything even more urgent. Elena, they're scheduling a vote, she whispered. Tomorrow morning, they're going to formally approve the implementation of their containment protocol. Once that vote passes, they'll begin operations immediately. How immediately? Elena asked. The first phase begins within 72 hours, Diana replied. They're planning to simultaneously cut off trade with all human worlds, while positioning military forces at key strategic points. The second phase, installing advisory governments, begins 1 week later. Alex was monitoring the facility's internal communications while Elena and Diana focused on the main meeting. We have another problem, he reported. They're rotating their security protocols every 6 hours. Our quantum field generators will stop working in about 90 minutes. When they switch to a detection method we haven't encountered before, Elena made the decision immediately. They had gathered enough intelligence to prove the aliens' intentions, but they needed to escape before their stealth technology failed. The extraction was even more dangerous than the infiltration had been. Security patrols were increasing as the alien leaders became more paranoid about potential threats to their secret meeting. Alex led them through a different route back to their transport pod, avoiding areas where new detection equipment had been installed since their arrival. We've got everything we need, Elena said as their pod lifted off from the planet's surface. Earth Defense Command now has proof of exactly what the Galactic Council is planning, and they have less than 4 days to prepare a response. As the Shadow jumped into hyperspace carrying the most important intelligence in human history, Elena couldn't help but smile. The aliens had spent months planning humanity's downfall in secret, convinced that their superior technology and ancient wisdom made them untouchable. They were about to learn that underestimating human ingenuity was the biggest mistake they had ever made. The secret meeting that was supposed to determine humanity's future had instead provided Earth with the information needed to ensure that humans would never again be excluded from decisions about their own destiny. The galaxy was about to discover what happened when you threatened a species that had conquered its own world in just a few millennia and then spread to the stars, with the same determination and creativity that had made them the dominant force on Earth. President Helen Davis stood in the Situation Room beneath the White House, watching as Elena Rodriguez's intelligence flowed across the main display screen. The recordings from the alien meeting were playing in real time, translated into English by the most advanced linguistic computers humanity had ever built. Every word the alien spoke made the situation clearer and more terrifying. They're not just planning to contain us, General Patricia Wells said as she reviewed the military implications of what they had discovered. They're planning to occupy our worlds and install puppet governments. This is an invasion disguised as peacekeeping. Admiral Chris Evans was already coordinating with fleet commanders throughout human space. How long do we have before they begin their operations? He asked. 72 hours for the first phase, Elena replied via quantum communication from the Shadow. They're going to cut off all trade simultaneously while positioning military forces around our key systems. The second phase begins a week later. President Davis made her decision without hesitation. The aliens had chosen to exclude humanity from decisions about their own future, and they were planning actions that would destroy human independence forever. But they had made one crucial mistake. They had underestimated what humans would do when backed into a corner. We're not going to wait for them to act, Davis announced to the assembled military and intelligence leaders. We're going to respond to their secret meeting in the most public way possible. The plan that emerged from the emergency session would be the most audacious military and diplomatic operation in human history. Instead of trying to counter the alien plot through traditional diplomatic channels, humanity would demonstrate their true capabilities in a way that would reshape galactic politics forever. Admiral Evans began coordinating the largest human fleet operation ever attempted. Ships that had been scattered across human space on routine missions received immediate recall orders. The UES Liberty, humanity's flagship, was joined by 47 other vessels as they assembled at the edge of Council space, every ship in. "The fleet is to be equipped with quantum stealth generators," Evans ordered. "We're going to show the aliens that they're not the only ones who can hold secret meetings." Captain Ryan Brooks received his orders aboard the Liberty as the human fleet prepared for an operation that would either establish humanity as an equal partner in galactic politics or trigger the largest interspecies war in galactic history. "Our mission is simple," Brooks announced to his crew. "We're going to interrupt the Galactic Council's secret session and prove that humanity cannot be ignored, contained, or controlled." Dr. Benjamin Cooper worked around the clock to install quantum field generators on every ship in the fleet. The technology that had allowed Elena's team to infiltrate the alien meeting would now hide an entire battle group as they approached Kepler 442b. "The stealth systems will only work if every ship maintains perfect formation," Ben explained to the fleet commanders. "One ship breaks formation and we all become visible to their sensors simultaneously." Meanwhile, Dr. Amanda Foster was preparing the diplomatic component of humanity's response. President Davis had decided that the revelation of alien duplicity would be broadcast not just to the secret meeting but to every inhabited world in the galaxy. "We're going to make their conspiracy public," Amanda explained to her team of diplomatic specialists. "Every species in the galaxy will know that the Council has been making decisions in secret, excluding not just humanity but probably dozens of other civilizations from discussions that affect their futures." The human fleet approached Kepler 442b, using the same cosmic storm that had hidden Elena's infiltration mission. 48 human warships slipped through space undetected, their quantum stealth systems making them invisible to the most sophisticated sensor networks in the galaxy. Captain Brooks monitored the alien communications as they drew closer to the planet. The Council representatives were preparing to vote on the containment protocol, completely unaware that human ships were surrounding their supposedly impregnable fortress. "All ships report ready," Brooks announced to Admiral Evans. Aboard the command ship, "Quantum stealth generators are functioning perfectly. We're in position to decloak simultaneously throughout the system." President Davis had chosen to deliver humanity's response personally. She stood on the bridge of the Liberty, preparing to address the most powerful beings in the galaxy with a message that would echo through history. "Begin the operation," she ordered. Across the Kepler 442 system, human ships decloaked simultaneously. The Liberty appeared directly above the alien meeting facility while other vessels materialized at strategic points throughout the system. In one instant, the galaxy's most secure location was surrounded by a human fleet that shouldn't have been able to approach undetected. The reaction from the alien meeting was immediate and chaotic. Emergency alarms began sounding throughout the facility as species that had considered themselves untouchable suddenly found themselves face to face with the very beings they had been plotting against. "Attention members of the Galactic Council," President Davis broadcast on all frequencies, her message transmitted in 17 different languages simultaneously. "Humanity is aware of your deliberations regarding our species. We come not as conquerors but as equals, demanding the courtesy of participation in decisions that affect our future." Counselor Vexhias' response came within seconds, transmitted from the meeting chamber to the human fleet. "How dare you violate Council sovereignty? This is an act of war." "This is an act of self-defense," President Davis replied calmly. "You have been planning economic warfare, military occupation, and the installation of puppet governments on human worlds. We have recordings of your entire conspiracy, and we are prepared to share them with every civilization in the galaxy." The impact of her words was immediate. Species that had been part of the conspiracy suddenly realized that their secret plans were known not just to humanity but potentially to every other civilization that might be affected by Council decisions made in secret. High Admiral Zorthuk demanded to know how humanity had penetrated their security, but President Davis ignored his question and continued her broadcast. The technology that allowed us to monitor your secret meeting is the same technology that brought our fleet here undetected, she said. We have been preparing to defend ourselves since the day we joined this community because we understood that not all of our neighbors could be trusted to treat us as equals. Dr. Foster had been right about the political implications of making the conspiracy public. Species throughout the galaxy that had been excluded from Council decisions were already broadcasting demands for explanations. The carefully controlled galactic political system was beginning to fracture as civilizations realized they had been manipulated by their supposed representatives. We propose a new approach to galactic governance, President Davis continued. Instead of secret meetings and closed-door decisions, we suggest transparent deliberations with representation for all affected parties. Humanity is prepared to share our advanced technologies with any species willing to embrace genuine cooperation instead of attempted domination. The demonstration of human capabilities had achieved its intended effect. The species that had been advocating for the harshest measures against humanity suddenly found themselves reconsidering their positions. The quantum stealth technology that had allowed human ships to appear inside their most secure system suggested that humanity was far more advanced than their intelligence reports.